I knew I was in Peace Corps when my aunties sculpted their husband's genitalia from pori dough while preparing for a Hindu wedding. No, genitalia-themed sculpture is not a typical Hindu practice. But half a dozen sisters or so combined with sleep deprivation breeds a certain vulgarity and humor. Why does this moment typify all I hope to be as a Peace Corps volunteer? Because the moment Auntie Golden snatched at Auntie Shanu's creation to correct an overestimated magnitude of maleness, I knew I was no longer just the white gal from the pink house. I was still a cultural oddity as an unmarried and childless 20-something, but I was also accepted in the way you accept family, all weirdness and quirks aside. Maybe I was still the white gal, but I was, at least, their white gal. The aforementioned pori dough incident occurred during the Saturday preparations for a wedding. Being the white gal, I was assigned tasks of questionable importance, which I performed with an appreciative gusto. If you ever need someone to open plastic bags so someone else can fill them, or roll thousands of dough circles, I'm your girl. Aunties do have a certain strength, cultivated by daily domestic demands, that I admittedly lack. I was once allowed to stir a kahari full of cook-up rice for a few seconds, time enough to snap a photo, before more practiced hands took over. When I met my soon-to-be beloved aunties, I began to understand the intense, coarse love of family. Critical, smothering, and strangely comforting. These women found identity amidst one another. Auntie Maureen, the tireless worker. Auntie Golden, the gruff comedian. Auntie Chachi, the matriarch and director of culinary affairs. Auntie Nadi, the long-suffering but resiliently joyful. Auntie Seema, a longtime neighbor turned sister. Auntie Leela, the emotive artist. Auntie Shanu, sugary sweetness balanced with a quick wit. Darshini, Mama, and Pinky, my peers as aunties in training. Many friends and neighbors invited me to weddings during my service, as weddings and other Hindu functions are the center of community life and a chance for ladies to show off their newest Indian wear. Saris, shalwars, kurtas, gararas. A friend once told me Hindu women dress as they do to reflect the beauty of Mother Earth. The sparkle of her heavens and the palette of her flora translated into textiles and accessories. I often wondered how many tons of gemstones and glitter adorned the guests of a typical Hindu wedding. My aunties clothed me in their Indian wear. They accessorized me and attempted to impose some sort of wedding-appropriate hairstyle on my short and unruly bob. They fed me inordinate amounts of curry and rice and took great pride in fattening me up for a nice Indian buy. I grew up in a conservative Christian community where feeding the hungry and clothing the poor were regular sermon topics and practiced in a distant, write a check to a missionary sense. This ethic of hospitality, in which I believed but had rarely seen manifested, was second nature to my aunties. At the risk of heresy, I know these Hindu women to be the most Christian folks I've ever met. Integration, community acceptance, belonging, call it what you will. I have a home amidst full-bodied women, curries cooked fireside, and indecent giggles. These women admitted me into the intimacy of their circle and taught me what being a woman in Guyana means. I learned that pori can be made beforehand, but rice and curry are best fresh. I learned that hard work and laughter are richest when intermingled. Aunties, you may have succeeded in making me fatter, but you also made me better. You, Guyanese aunties, transformed my Peace Corps experience from an act of service to a life of fullness.